speaking about ISIS is one thing, and jihadists and terrorists is one thing, but a regional dispute between two regional powers such as Iran and Saudi Arabia has to be a totally different thing. And Tehran could engage with Saudi Arabia.
Of course, but what is this dispute about? What is this dispute about? This dispute is about the role that Saudi Arabia finances, Saudi financing, Saudi ideology is playing all across the globe. I mean, the Iranians understand, and as the world is beginning to understand, as Donald Trump understood, that today the fundamental threat towards peace and stability in the Middle East is the Wahhabi version of Islam that is creating all the difficulties that we are encountering over there.
But you realize there's an argument that could be made that Iranian support for the Syrian regime, which is responsible for tens, hundreds of thousands of deaths, that also could be considered a source of instability. Patrick, we'll come to you in just a moment.
Iran, of course, is involved in these kind of operations, although Iran does not have any actual troops in Syria. There are advisors.
As commanders and military advice.
It is, I believe, although even one dead person is unacceptable, I don't think it is correct to put all the hundreds of thousands of dead people in Syria on the account of the regime. Because you have out there Al-Qaeda and ISIS who are also killing on a daily basis women, children, and all the others. The regime in Damascus, at least, although it's a totalitarian, awful, murderous regime, all that being granted, but at least if you're a Christian, you don't end up crucified. If you're a Shia, they don't bury you alive. And if you're a Kurd, you still get a chance to live.
All right, Patrick Clausen with the closing words.
The Iranian regime has sent more foreign fighters into Iran than Daesh has been able to recruit from abroad. Most of those fighting inside Syria right now are fighting with Iranian arms and with Iranian support. They are the ones who have blown up more than 40% of the housing in the country. They're the ones who displaced 6 million people. And Iran never attacks Daesh. Never once has Iran attacked Daesh. Iran attacks moderate forces that are opposing to the regime and leaves Daesh alone. And that's because Iran is got a sectarian agenda in the region, and it's inflaming sectarianism. That's why the U.S. government has said that the principal fundraiser for Daesh actually lives in Tehran, which seems remarkable to us in the West, but in fact Iran's policy has long been to bet on every horse in the race, and Iran is the one who's been feeding the sectarian conflict in the region. That's why we have seen sectarianism inflamed in this region, is because it's the Iranians who are out there, whether it's in Iraq, whether it's in Syria, or whether it's in Yemen, encouraging a sectarian violence and sectarian conflict in which hundreds of thousands of innocent civilians die. Iran never attacks Daesh. Iran only attacks moderates who are fighting against the Assad regime.
Reza Marashi, just briefly, do you want to weigh in on this?
There's two broad-based points that I want to make here. First and foremost, Iran has reached out to Saudi Arabia extensively and repeatedly since Rouhani has come into office. Both the president, the foreign minister, the deputy foreign minister, and through a variety of track 2 meetings and through intermediaries in third-party countries. And to quote a top U.S. official recently told me, the Saudis aren't interested. So if and when Saudi Arabia becomes ready, willing, and able to talk, they will find a ready, willing, and able partner in Tehran. That's first. Second, and perhaps most importantly, if we're talking about Iran specifically and regional policies more generally, and this includes the United States and Europe, every single solution has been tried except collective security, meaning everybody sitting around the same table and trying to hammer out something, an agreement of some sort, whether it's Syria or broader regional issues, to ensure that innocent people stop being killed and conflicts can systematically come to an end. And there's no quick fix and there's no immediate solution to this. It requires days, weeks, and months of sitting at the table and talking. And if somebody tells you that that's not a good idea, then A, they should explain why we have foreign ministries around the world and what the purpose of diplomats is, first and foremost. And then second, they should explain why we should double down on things that have failed in the past. Because diplomacy's great promise is that you never know where conversations are going to go once they begin, and the nuclear deal is a personification of that.